Right now, 80,000 people are running for their lives. Mayon Volcano is exploding, and it won't stop. This is not a drill. For 40 days straight, the mountain has been spewing molten rock, ash, and toxic gas into the sky. Scientists are terrified because instruments are detecting poison levels in the air not recorded in 15 years. Families are abandoning homes with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Emergency sirens wail across the Baikal region. Geologists stare at screens showing magma rising faster than their models predicted. What's happening beneath man is beyond their worst projections, and the eruption shows no sign of slowing down. The first explosion catches the valley off guard just after dawn. A deafening roar shatters windows across 3 towns. Ash clouds billow 15,000 feet into the sky, turning morning into midnight. Farmers working the fields look up to see fire fountains launching from the crater. Within minutes, the air becomes unbreathable. Parents grab their children and sprint toward evacuation routes as volcanic debris begins to rain down. Roofs collapse under the weight of ash. The mountain glows red against the blackened sky, and the ground trembles with each new eruption. Emergency broadcasts cut through radio stations. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology raises the alert to level 4. Hazardous eruption is imminent. Officials order immediate evacuation within an 8-kilometer radius. But the volcano doesn't wait for permission. Lava streams pour down the southeastern slope, incinerating everything in their path. Trees explode into flames. Rivers boil. The heat is so intense that metal roofs warp and melt. Witnesses describe the sound as a continuous jet engine roar mixed with thunder that never stops. Convoys of trucks and buses flood the highways leading away from the danger zone. 80,000 residents pour out of villages with whatever they can carry. Mothers clutch infants wrapped in damp cloth to filter the toxic air. Elderly residents are carried on makeshift stretchers. Livestock are left behind, their panic cries fading as families flee. The roads become choked with humanity moving in one direction, away from the mountain that has turned against them. Traffic grinds to a halt. People abandon vehicles and continue on foot. The sky rains ash so thick it blankets everything in gray. Visibility drops to mere meters. Inside the Crisis Command Center, volcanologists watch seismic data with growing alarm. The eruption has been continuous for 40 days, but the pattern is changing. Magma is rising through multiple vents now. Pressure beneath the mountain is building towards something catastrophic. One scientist points to gas readings on a monitor. Sulfur dioxide concentrations have spiked to levels not recorded since the major eruption 15 years ago. That event displaced over 50,000 people and lasted for months. This one is already worse, and it's accelerating. The toxic gas is invisible but deadly. Sulfur dioxide mixes with atmospheric moisture to form acid rain that burns skin on contact. Residents still trapped in the outer zones report breathing difficulties, burning eyes, and dizziness. Rescue teams wearing gas masks push into the danger zone to retrieve those too sick or stubborn to leave. They find elderly residents collapsed in their homes, overcome by fumes. Children with respiratory conditions are rushed to overcrowded hospitals where doctors are running out of oxygen supplies. The air quality monitoring stations have stopped functioning. The instruments are destroyed by the corrosive atmosphere. Lava flows extend further each day, consuming barangay after barangay. The molten rock moves with terrifying inevitability, 20 feet high and radiating heat that can be felt half a kilometer away. Structures don't stand a chance. Concrete walls crack and crumble. Metal frameworks twist and collapse. Entire neighborhoods that existed for generations are erased in hours. Drone footage shows rivers of fire snaking through valleys, dividing the landscape into zones of destruction and zones waiting for destruction. The lava reaches agricultural lands. Decades of cultivation turn to blackened wasteland in minutes. Evacuation centers are overwhelmed. Schools, gymnasiums, and covered courts designed to hold hundreds now shelter tens of thousands. Families sleep on cardboard mats pressed shoulder to shoulder. There's not enough food. Water supplies are rationed. Sanitation systems are breaking down. Disease spread through the cramped conditions. Children cry from hunger and fear. Parents stare at the ash-darkened sky visible through windows, wondering if they still have homes to return to. Aid organizations rush supplies to the region, but the roads are barely passable. Relief convoys struggle through the ash-choked highways. Then the ground opens up. Fissures crack across the southeastern flank of the volcano, releasing jets of superheated gas and steam. These new vents indicate the magma chamber is expanding, seeking new escape routes. Geologists describe this as the volcano tearing itself apart. The mountain is restructuring. Each new vent increases the eruption's intensity. The main crater now fountains lava continuously, while the fissures create secondary eruption sites. The danger zone expands. Communities previously considered safe are now under threat. Another 20,000 people receive evacuation orders. Lightning storms erupt within the ash clouds. Volcanic lightning, created by particles colliding at extreme velocity, flashes through the darkness, illuminating the apocalyptic scene in bursts of electric blue and white. The thunder competes with the volcano's roar. It looks like the end of the world. Witnesses record video on phones with shaking hands, capturing nature's fury in fragments before fleeing. The footage spreads across social media, images of a mountain possessed by uncontrollable rage. Communication systems fail. Cell towers coated in ash stop functioning. Power lines collapse under accumulated debris. The region goes dark. Rescue coordination becomes chaotic. Emergency responders rely on radio systems that cut in and out. Families separated during evacuation have no way to reconnect. Missing persons reports flood what's left of the communication network. The uncertainty amplifies the panic. Parents don't know if their children made it to evacuation centers. Workers separated from families during the initial chaos wander through relief camps searching for familiar faces. The ashfall extends beyond the immediate danger zone. Towns 50 kilometers away wake to find everything coated in gray powder. The substance infiltrates homes through the smallest cracks, covering furniture, contaminating food supplies, clogging water filtration systems. Residents wear makeshift masks, but the fine particles penetrate everything. Respiratory cases spike across the entire region. Hospitals in supposedly safe areas are flooded with patients struggling to breathe. The volcanic ash contains silica fragments that shred lung tissue with each breath. Then the lahars begin. Heavy rain mixes with volcanic debris on the mountain slopes, creating fast-moving mud flows with the consistency of wet concrete. These lahars surge down river valleys at terrifying speed, carrying boulders, trees, and the remains of destroyed structures. They strike with no warning. One moment a river valley is empty. The next, a wall of mud 10 meters high is obliterating everything in its path. Villages downstream are buried in minutes. The mud flows are so powerful they reroute rivers and reshape the landscape. Rescue teams can only watch helplessly as entire communities disappear beneath the gray sludge. The economic destruction is absolute. The Bicol region's agricultural sector, normally one of the Philippines' most productive, is annihilated. Rice fields that should be ready for harvest are buried under meters of ash. Coconut plantations burn. Vegetable farms are entombed. Livestock that weren't evacuated are dead, suffocated by ash or consumed by lava. The region's food supply is gone. Hundreds of thousands face food insecurity. The eruption is destroying livelihoods that took generations to build. Scientists admit they don't know when this will end. Volcanic eruptions can continue for weeks, months, or even years. Mayon's longest eruption on record lasted more than 200 days. The current eruption shows no signs of weakening. In fact, seismic activity is intensifying. The magma reservoir beneath the volcano appears to be deeper and larger than previous surveys indicated. One volcanologist states quietly that they may be witnessing the beginning of a years-long eruptive phase. The implications are devastating. 80,000 people can't remain displaced indefinitely. Where will they go? How will they survive? Inside the Emergency Operations Center, officials face impossible decisions. Do they expand the danger zone again? Another evacuation would affect over 100,000 more people. But the alternative is leaving communities in the path of potential pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of gas and rock that can reach speeds of 700 kilometers per hour and temperatures of 1,000 degrees. These flows are unsurvivable. They erase everything they touch. The decision weighs on officials who know either choice carries catastrophic consequences. Air traffic across the region is grounded. The massive ash clouds pose severe danger to aircraft engines. International flights reroute around the Philippines. Domestic travel is paralyzed. The ash spreads across Luzon, affecting Manila's air quality over 300 kilometers away. The capital issues health warnings. Schools close. Outdoor activities are cancelled. The volcano's reach extends far beyond the immediate eruption zone. Then the earthquakes intensify. Hundreds of tremors shake the region daily. Most are minor, but several exceed magnitude 5. Buildings already weakened by ash accumulation collapse during the stronger quakes. The constant shaking creates psychological terror. Residents in evacuation centers flinch with every tremor, uncertain if this is the precursor to something worse. Seismologists explain the earthquakes indicate magma movement. The volcano is reorganizing its internal plumbing system. This is not the finale. This is the middle act. Fissures open in unexpected locations. Cracks appear in farmland kilometers from the main crater, releasing sulfurous steam. The volcano is expanding its footprint. The ground itself is becoming unstable. Sinkholes form without warning, swallowing sections of road. The mountain is hollowing out beneath, creating void spaces as magma drains from chambers and flows toward the surface through new pathways. Engineers warn that landslides on the volcano's flanks are increasingly likely. International disaster response teams arrive, but the scale exceeds their capacity. The United Nations deploys emergency coordinators. Neighboring countries send aid, but the eruption continues to outpace response efforts. For every family sheltered, another 100 flee newly threatened areas. For every ton of food delivered, demand increases by 10. The catastrophe is expanding faster than the humanitarian response can mobilize. Scientists detect infrasound, low-frequency acoustic waves generated by the eruption that are inaudible to humans but indicate massive explosive events within the volcano. These signals suggest magma is interacting with groundwater, creating phreatomagmatic explosions, some of the most violent volcanic events possible. The potential for a major explosive eruption grows with each passing day. If the magma encounters significant water sources beneath the mountain, the resulting steam explosion could dwarf everything that's happened so far. Survivors describe the psychological toll. The continuous roar of the eruption never stops. It's impossible to sleep. The noise penetrates everything, a constant reminder that the mountain is awake and angry. Children develop trauma symptoms. Adults show signs of severe stress. The uncertainty is as destructive as the eruption itself. No one knows when they can return home, or if there will be homes to return to. Neighboring volcanic systems show increased activity. Maine sits within the Pacific Ring of Fire, a chain of volcanoes connected by tectonic forces. Monitoring stations detect elevated seismic activity at nearby volcanic systems. Scientists note this pattern has occurred before. One major eruption can trigger sympathetic responses in nearby volcanoes. The possibility of multiple simultaneous eruptions across the Philippines becomes a whispered nightmare among geologists. The toxic gas readings continue climbing. Sulfur dioxide concentrations now exceed any measurement in the modern monitoring record. The gas forms a choking blanket over the region, drifting with prevailing winds. Towns that thought themselves safe find their air suddenly poisoned. Gas masks sell out across multiple provinces. Residents improvise protection with wet cloth and makeshift filters. The invisible poison is everywhere, and there's no escape. Then fresh lava breaks through the northern flank, a section that was previously stable. This new flow threatens communities that weren't included in evacuation orders. Panic erupts. Residents wake to find glowing rivers of molten rock advancing toward their homes. Emergency vehicles rush in, but the roads are jammed. People flee on foot, on motorcycles, on anything that moves. The volcano has changed the rules. No one is safe. 40 days, and man shows no sign of exhaustion. The mountain has more power to release. The magma reservoir feeding this eruption is massive, potentially containing enough molten rock to sustain eruptions for months or longer. Volcanologists stare at their data, searching for signs of decline, finding none. The pressure isn't dropping. The gas emissions aren't decreasing. The seismic activity isn't weakening. Scientists admit uncertainty. The models don't predict this. The eruption has already exceeded their forecasts. They don't know what comes next. They don't know when it ends. They don't know if the worst is behind or still ahead. 80,000 displaced. Entire communities erased. A region paralyzed. And the volcano continues to explode, day after day, with toxic gas levels not seen in 15 years poisoning the air. The mountain is rewriting the disaster playbook, and humanity can only watch and run. Is this just the beginning?